Welcome to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where real people share timeless ideas. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and in every episode we dive into the philosophies, quotes, points, and life lessons that shape how we live, think, and grow. No matter where you are in life, this show is here to remind you wisdom is everywhere, and it's always relatable most of the times.
Tell us your name and what you do.
My name's Adam Lee Spencer. I work in sports management, sports and entertainment management. Live in Seattle, Washington, child of Gloucester, Virginia, and glad to be here.
Wow, thank you so much for being here, Adam. What's the quote you want to show to me?
About the seat at the table.
Yeah, always grants.
Yes. So, I spent 20 years in the United States Army, and as a part of the what we call a retirement process is you get what basically amounts to a mentor for a little while as you enter whatever industry you want to enter and move into civilian life, for lack of a better term. And, I was talking to a gentleman who worked at a television station in Portland, Oregon, and I just had some reservations about how to approach certain things. And he said to me, Adam, always grant yourself a seat at the table. Those were his exact words. That was late 2017, early 2018. I have never forgotten that.
Oh, always grant yourself a seat at the table. What does that mean in the context of that advice? What did he mean by that?
So as I said, I was just nervous and a little unsure how to approach certain things, as far as the networking process, gaining clients and doing it not only the right way and doing it in a professional manner, but also doing it in a manner that fits me and functioning in a manner that fits me and who I am and within my personality, and not, getting out of pocket or coming out brand new to somebody and it's not authentic, And so what I basically took from that is that I deserve to be in the room, whatever the room is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I deserve to be there. I also took from that anybody deserves. I don't care what the background is. Everybody deserves a right to be in that room. Everybody deserves a right to be able to share their voice, if you will.
Yeah. Always grant yourself a seat at the table. When I hear the quotes, the first thing that comes to my mind is that on certain areas of life, a lot of persons, they reject themselves even before they pitch the idea, like, oh, if they apply for a job, like, yeah, man, I mean, that job is not for someone like me. What am I doing? Right? And they don't apply. Or it's if they're trying to start a business. I mean, this business, it's not, what do I know to start a business like this? They don't start a business, right? So they don't even give themselves an opportunity, let alone they reject themselves basically before the world has an opportunity to even reject or criticize.
Exactly. I think sometimes we function in too much modesty. I think sometimes, especially as Black folks, people of color, however you want to say it, in white spaces, we function in a level of modesty, not to seem aggressive or not to be the center of attention in the room, if you will. When we already know, because we're Black, 9 times out of 10, that is, in those situations, we're going to be the center of attention because we're the only one in the room, or we're one of 2, 3, 4, 5 people within that space in the room. So it's a challenge to the approach of modesty, if you will.
Yeah, I think ultimately we can't control how people respond to us, the ideas and everything. We can't control that. I mean, we could sensitize, we could talk, but people will still respond the way they want to respond. The other thing we can control is how we respond. That's us. And what I have noticed that starts happening is that this thing we call modesty, right? Over time, we internalize the voices of all the people that have rejected us in the past, all the people that said, oh, you can't do it. Who are you? We've internalized that voice in our head such that when we're about to make decisions, when we're about to try things, that voice pops up in our head like, oh, like, why would you, what do you want to do? What's this? You can't do this, right? So even in the thought process, we have that voice criticizing the idea before we even let it out in the world. And yeah, it's a scary place because you think it's your voice, but it's not you. It's not you that's talking.
Yeah, I think I would say it is you. It's your fears talking. Yeah, it's your fears talking, and your fears are. That's a very human thing. I think.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's a very human thing. I don't think we can run from because sometimes I think our fears or our apprehensions about certain things, they're also trying to tell us something that, hey, yes, I deserve to be in that room, but that room might not be a fit for me. So I think we have to have good balance also with that. Yes, I deserve to be in that room. Yes, my voice needs to be heard, but is it worth it? Is the time I'm taking to give whatever it is I got to give, is that worth it for me personally? How am I going to feel 2 days from now, 3 days from now, 20 years from now about that room? If I know I have an apprehension, a valid apprehension, if you will, not just being scared, but a valid apprehension about that room.
Yeah. I think the thing is, before you even think about granting yourself a seat at the table, you should be concerned about the table if it's a table you want to be, right? Because a lot of persons, they just fight and try to be on the table, and eventually they get to the table and they realize that, is this what I've been, worrying and fighting for all this while? It's not really a big deal. I should have just relaxed.
Yeah. That's a life lesson also that it's a lot of dumb people sitting in high places, just to be bluntly honest.
Story of this life.
Yeah, it's a lot of dumb people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of dumb people sitting in high places.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join. Or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
I'm curious, right? I'm curious to know, has there been instances where you've had to not, what's the word? I wouldn't say the word grant yourself a seat at the table. More like you just chose not to be in that table because it wasn't what's why, even though you could be at the table, metaphorically speaking.
Well, I think some of that comes with age also. I think when we're when we're younger or maybe less experienced, we just go for it. We want to be everywhere, anywhere. I think with age, you learn first and foremost, is this healthy for me? Do I need to just rest for a little bit? Because it's just some situations where, look, you know what? It's like, look, I've been going all day. Do I need to be there? Is this really going to change anything going on with me if I'm there? No. So this may be a moment for me to take my rest. Or you look at it, and as you've studied and done your own work to prepare, you also at times will look at yourself and ask yourself, is this a place I really want to be in? Are these people I really want to be around? When you do your own research or wherever you want to be, and you see certain things that, don't set well with you, whatever your values are, there's times where you're going to ask yourself, do I really want to be there?
Yeah. I think ultimately it boils down to knowing what you want. And even knowing what you want, sometimes you just have to try everything and then realize that, I definitely don't want this. I definitely don't want this. This is what I want.
Exactly. And that comes, and at times that comes with maturity.
Yeah.
As the kids say nowadays, sometimes that's all for vibes. I've been places where I've
Uh,
kind of got in the room and just like, nah, this ain't it. Or been around certain people, like, nah, not today, Satan. Nope, nope, nope. We not doing this.
yeah. Yeah. I think a precautionary rule is that before we think about granting ourselves a seat at the table, we should make sure that the table is a place we want to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you learn more about that as you engage within that process.
Yeah.
You get let's say you get an offer or an opportunity, and okay, it looks appealing. You want to engage, or at least look into it a little bit more, or engage with whoever your point of contact is, whatever that looks like. And you start, like I said, you start to ask certain questions, or just get a back feel on what's going to go on. And and then maybe you do your own research, and like I said, you just get to a place of nah, this ain't it.
Yeah. Yeah. Over the years, how has this quote, evolved for you? I know we've talked about it in subtle hints in the conversation, but I'd love for you to just dwell on that. How has the quote evolved for you from the time you got introduced to it to now?
That is a great question. Wow, that is a great question. I have never. That
Uh,
is crazy. I'm serious. That is crazy. I have never thought about it in that manner. That is crazy.
wow.
I'm sorry. Nobody has
No problem, no problem. No,
nobody
yeah,
has asked me that. That is crazy. I'll say this. I think I take value from the understanding that I can manage myself, or I have value to whatever room I'm in. I think also, I think I've learned to vet and, make sure I'm researching what I'm getting myself into also a little bit better. So I'm not in places where I just don't want to be, you know,
yeah,
and there's no other way to put it. Uh, I'm a little too old to be in things, be involved in things, and be in places that I don't want to be involved in. You know,
yeah,
those days should be long gone for me.
yeah. I think the reason I asked that question is it's more you answered the question in the course of explaining the quote, but I just had to ask you so that you dwell on it, right? Over the
Hmm.
years, right, you've let's say your sense of value has become more, it has become more tuned, right? It's like a kid, right? Like a very young child.
Right.
They don't really understand the money sense. You could give the 15 naira for certain thing they're holding in their hand. Yeah, 50, okay, 50, I know what the currency is there. Like maybe it's $2
Hmm.
for something they're holding in their hand, and they will give it to you. Like, yeah, it's money. It's the sense of value has not really been mature. But over the year, you begin to understand, oh, this costs this. I can't pay for this. I mean, this thing is valuable, but I can't spend this amount of money. And the same thing with you, right? You realize that, oh, I mean, I could get this, but what I'm paying for, the thing I'm trading to get to be at this table is not what that this table, right? This table is not what I'm giving in exchange for it. And so
Hmm.
you're like, oh no, right? I mean, there are certain things you could do where you could absolutely crush it. But like, I'm going to spend so hours of my time. I'm like, yeah, this stuff is good, but it's not what that's me spending my time. And that is a significant evolution. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one thing I've also learned personally is that I'm my maturity, the way my socialization, the way I've networked, the way I've gotten to learn people is in a very not only modest but stoic manner. I've never been the livest person in the room. I've never been the center of attention um in that room. So, and I think in the past, there's things where I've been involved in where I just didn't feel anything. I was just there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, that's something I don't do anymore. If
yeah,
I can't be of service to whatever I'm engaged in, if I don't feel right, or if I can't feel something, no, I'm out. I'm
yeah,
not going to be there long.
yeah. And it all takes us back to spending some time and knowing, because a lot of people they do things because that's what everybody's doing. I mean, all my peers, they're they're in this place. I should be there too. And you're like, well, why? Who says you should be there? Like, is there a law that says you should be there? There's no should or should not. If you want to be there, you should be there. If you don't want to be there, you don't have to be there. And it's just taking out time to say, yeah, why is this what I really want to do? If I'm doing it, why do I want to do it? Is it something that and it all ties back to the question I asked you: what kind of message or takeaway would you love for my listeners to take from the episode? And you said to care and be thoughtful, right? In order to care, sometimes you have to like think and say, okay, yeah, this stuff, am I this, and in order to say, okay, yeah, this is what I should.
Absolutely. I don't do this for just, so I can become next great influencer or for some likes and clicks on social media. If I do something, I want to be of service to it. If somebody invites me on that platform and I agree to do it, then I want to be respectful of that person's platform.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of the time that they've set aside to do the interview, and also be respectful of wherever they are in that process of where they're trying to take their platform. So that's another reason why I want to be, I want to be thoughtful. I want to be helpful. If you're inviting me on there, I agree to it, then I want to be respectful of what you're doing also.
Yeah. Take to care and be thoughtful, right? To care and be thoughtful, right? Wow. And the reason I say is that most of the best, the gifts that people, you have to look at the person and say, oh yeah, what do they need? What do they want? Why are they even reaching out to me? Right, in the podcast example. And how can I be of service to them? And not just, oh yeah, what do I want? What do I need? Which there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to care and be thoughtful. Well, thank you so much, Adam. Thanks for sharing your quote, and thanks for sharing the evolution and the story.
That is no problem at all. Appreciate your time, appreciate your platform, and grace, peace, and mercy to you.
Yeah, we can. Before I ask you where people can learn more about you, what's the final piece of advice or word you would love to leave with my listeners, on this episode?
Wow. As we talked about earlier, taking the time to think, taking the time to care, also taking the time to know what you're getting into. My grandfather, he said this one time. My cousin, we were really small and young at the time, and he went, it was like preschool or something, and he had got into a fight, and he comes back talking about how he had got into the fight, how he had hit the kid, and he was all giddy and whatnot. And my grandfather turned and said to him, okay, yeah, make sure you know who you fighting. You can run over there if you want to, and you run back with your feelings hurt. So make sure you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
I have never.
Life lesson in an instance. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that.
Said no problem.
Yeah. Where can people learn more about you and what connect with
you? Just Google Spencer Group International. I'm there. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and we got our website.
Yeah, what's the website? I'll put a link in the description show notes. So what's the website?
It's 1 second.
SpencerGroup.info.
Yep.
Yeah, SpencerGroup.info.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they can also find you at AdamLSpencer.substack.com. That's your Substack. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I'll put the Instagram and the Twitter links in the description and the show notes, so listeners can click and go directly to the respective platform.
And no problem. Look forward to it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Adam. Thanks for sharing your story, and thanks for just reminding me that sometimes it's not always about being on the table. Sometimes you have to be sure that you want to be at that table, else it's just not worth it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank
you. You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatable.wisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.